G'day guys, how you doing? It's me, back with another video. And yeah, it's been a little while. Just been busy, focusing on a few things. In regards to the previous video, I apologize for the sound quality. Not too sure what happened there, but anyway. Hopefully the sound in this video will be a lot better. Hope you're all doing well. Okay. Over the last couple of years, I've talked to you about how the craziness in this world is just going to keep on rolling out, and it is, and that's what this video is about. Is there was something that happened over the last couple of months that came to my attention, and I felt that I really needed to share this with you guys. And if I really suggest sharing it with your friends, loved ones, etc. A little while ago I did a video in regards to how I'd found some information in regards to a certain jab, or how the U.S. Department of Defense had funded DARPA to develop vaccines that would kill off the human pineal gland, so people wouldn't be able to connect with their consciousness, disconnect human beings from their consciousness. And that was what pretty much what this whole last pandemic was about. It wasn't about the virus itself, it was about a vaccine. So with that being said, back in December, I just randomly bumped into an individual, and first time I've ever met them. And this is my life, sincerely, 100%. This is my life. This is what my life has been like for years now, where I will just end up randomly bumping into people of high positions of power. You'll be amazed at some of the people that I've talked to over the years. It even blows me away. A lot of people look at me and think that I'm full of doo-doo or batshit crazy, etc. But just before Christmas last year, I just went to a local sports bar here in Camarillo, California, where I live, over by the outlets, and sat down. The place was packed, and I ended up sitting down beside a very well put together individual. And he broke conversation with me, and cut a long conversation short, he was extremely high up in the financial world, like really high up, like top of the fucking pile, sort of high up. I couldn't believe it, and I mean that sincerely. I couldn't believe it. He had actually just flown in from Zurich, Switzerland, and was actually just gotten done doing some shopping over at the Camarillo outlets, and been a long 24 hours for him, and he was just having a quiet scotch at the bar. So we got talking about some stuff, primarily because of the fact that I'm from New Zealand, and he was an avid fan of a certain sport. And so he we started having a good conversation about certain things. Then, usual stuff, you start talking about work, backgrounds, that sort of thing. And that's when I found out who he was. And I'm not going to tell you who he was, because I'm not going to throw the individual under the bus. During our conversation, he actually qualified the whole 13 family deal that I've talked to you in other videos, in regards to there literally only being 13 families that run the world. Now, I've mentioned this before in other videos about how I was at an event and there was a parchment. This lady showed me a parchment paper in front of me, and how the whole power structure of the world worked and everything like that. And at the top of the power structure was these 13 families. And I was just blown away. I was like, oh my God, dude. I said, and I explained what I just explained to you. And I said to him, I was just so stoked that he had shared that with me, because even though you're at a certain social event and somebody's rolled out a parchment paper and whatever, you still don't know if it's made up. I mean, you just, you don't really know until you can actually start getting other people who are in those circles or in that circle, the round table, to actually lay that out for you. And so that is now 2 people over about a 12-year period, 13-year period or so, that has actually qualified that for me. So I was absolutely like, frickin' hey, man, this is awesome. So that led us down the whole rabbit hole in regards to these super elite families. And he's brought up about how much they actually hate human society. He said his honest to God words were, he goes, the one thing that always really blows me away about being around these individuals is just how much they hate regular human beings, just the regular population. And I was just like, really? And he's like, yeah. Now, I know that sounds naive on my behalf, but here's the reality of the situation. You know, I'm a humanist. I don't have a problem with humanity. I have a problem with assholes, but I don't have a problem with humanity. And the reality of the situation is, you know, the world's not overpopulated. The world produces enough food right now for like 21, 22 billion people, and there's like maybe 8 billion people on the planet. We got talking about how much these people hate us, and then the whole depopulation thing. And again, I don't mean to sound naive or ignorant or anything like that, but I was just like, I said, I've heard about it, but I never really put any stock into it, because I was like, how could a group of people, such a small group of people, be so maniacally malevolent where they want to wipe out billions of people? Because you got to be a really, 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 like, so beyond really in the head to want to do something like that. Think about that for a minute. So, yeah, the whole Agenda 2030 thing and the depopulation deal, it's a real effing deal. And I asked him, I said, do you know what's the timeline on this stuff? And he goes, well, you would have heard of Agenda 2030. I was like, yeah. He goes, well, it's a very real deal. He goes, it might parlay out a little bit longer than that, but he goes, something's definitely going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. And I was just like, because he was sitting on my right, I looked at him and I said, you got to be shitting me, dude. And he goes, no, I'm not. And then he brought up, and this is really very, very interesting, he brought up about the whole New Zealand situation during a certain pandemic. He literally said, he goes, you know, what? Because, you know, he brought up that, and I said to him, well, I was living down there during that. And he goes, no way. It's like, yeah. And he said, what happened down there? And I said to him, you ever read the book, Lord of the Flies? And he's like, oh my God, I'd never thought of that. I was like, yeah, dude. I said, it doesn't matter if these globalists all hunkered down in their bunkers down there. I said, I'm telling you right now, all the New Zealanders down there know exactly where all your bunkers are at. I said, New Zealand is an incredibly small country. And I said, it might be 2 years before you guys start wanting to poke your heads out of those bunkers, but I can tell you right now, you poke your heads out of those bunkers, that whole area around Queenstown, the entire remaining population of New Zealand would have set up shop down there waiting for you guys to come out of your bunkers. And I can assure you, you're not going to live very long. They will have your planes destroyed. They'll have any sort of anything that you've got set up to get out of there frickin' handled. And I said to him, I'm going to dial you in on a really, really interesting little piece of information about the native people down there. And he goes, what? I said, well, before the Europeans got down there, I said some of the native tribes down there had turned to cannibalism. And he's like, oh my God, you're kidding me. I was like, no, dude. I said, New Zealand will become the Lord of the Flies. That's all there is to it. And all those elitists that are wanting to escape down there will be effed. End of story, plain and simple. And he was blown away. And he was like, well, I appreciate the heads up sort of situation. I said, you got one down there? And he goes, there's myself and a couple of other people that we're in with have a setup down there. I was like, yeah, you're down in Queenstown, like the rest of you are. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, really, everybody down there knows about the bunker? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, yeah. I said, I was on a flight from Blenheim to Auckland, and I was literally sitting beside a guy who has made millions of dollars building bunkers for you guys down there. And and I said, the crazy thing about it is he straight out disclosed to me. He goes, the one thing that all of you guys keep on wanting to figure out is how to get rid of your special operations crews, because you guys have all got all these special operations guys that are, guarding you and making sure you're safe and everything like that while you get into your bunkers. I said, it's common knowledge not common knowledge, but a lot of people know that you guys just want to get rid of your special operations guys. And he's just like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, it's a small country. People talk. I said, there's no secrets in New Zealand, period. And he was just like, oh God. But the reality of it is the whole depopulation thing is a very, very real thing. And I'm going to share something down below, because right now, China has developed a coronavirus with a 100% mortality rate. They actually released a paper on it just in the last few weeks. I did a search online. There's one doctor that I found that's reported on this. Seems to be being kept really, really quiet, and understandably so. But while everybody's focused on a big old circle jerk war that's going on in the Middle East, they have released a paper, as they always do, because that's what happens. Everybody's focused on what's going on in front of them. Nobody's focusing on the effing that we're going to be getting from behind. Okay. So because this individual had shared with me the information that he had shared with me, I had the radar on in regards to, information and everything like that in regards to this whole depopulation deal. And sure as shit, China, just literally in the last couple of weeks, slipped out a paper in regards to them having a coronavirus with a 100% mortality rate. And I'll share obviously in the description section the research paper and the video of the doctor that talked about this. And I'd highly, highly, highly recommend everybody else out there that actually gets this video or watches the other video to actually share it around your friends and your loved ones, because something like this should be going viral right now. Literally, excuse the term, but that's the actual fact of the matter. Something in regards to a situation of this magnitude should be going viral, because if they release a contagion like this within the next couple of years, it's not going to be good in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it will be absolute carnage, absolute unadulterated carnage. And these power players, they do this to mitigate their karmic footprint. Like, they will actually roll out something like this, and it's they can say, well, we told them, we warned them, but they didn't do anything about it in any way, shape, or form. That's how they play this game. So it would be apparent to me that the whole vax wasn't as effective as what they thought it was going to be. That's pretty much what I've gathered. Like, it just didn't do the job quite as well as what it should have done. So they've gone to the next level where it's literally like, okay, we are now going to just have to go the full Monty and actually just roll out a virus that will actually do the job. And There's no turning back from something like that when it's released. And a virus like this, just so you know, is 100% biologically engineered. It's not something that just happens to show up in some random meat market or what have you in Wuhan in China, or in the Ukraine where the biochemical warfare laboratories used to be. They just transitioned to a different country. It's still the same people that are behind them and everything like that. And I actually think there's actually a lot more to this than what they actually even released in the actual research paper. My gut feeling in regards to this whole situation, and I've mentioned this to people over the last couple of years, close friends, and that is that I truly believe that they're going to release a contagion that will react with the vaccines. So I don't know if this is a virus that would do that. I'm not that up to speed with that stuff, but it just seems to be way too coincidental for something like this to happen. And just so you know, also, I just mentioned something in this video about how these elitists, and this is a message to the special operations community or the ex-special operations community, that are making money protecting and defending these supposed elitists. Just so you guys know, these people don't want you around if an event like this happens. You are expendable right now in their eyes. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. It doesn't matter how well they treat you or how good they make you feel about the job that they're doing. You need to know that you are just as expendable as any other human being on this planet. And if there's any group of people that could actually make a difference in this world, it's actually you guys in the special operations community, because a lot of you are actually guarding these members of these families, if you get my point. Instead of these people actually being able to move underground, they should be permanently put in the ground, if you understand what I mean. And I don't understand why the one group of people, because there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of you out there, that could actually make a real difference in this world and make a real difference for humanity. So if you are a member that's watching or guarding or protecting these families, I'd tend to say that you really need to have a real serious look at your moral compass. And I mean that sincerely. And that's pretty much all that I've got to say. I mean, I, for one, am, in all sincerity, actually mortified that these people actually want to do this to us. I kind of, not ignorantly, not naively, I've heard about it, I knew about it, but I'd never done any thorough research on the subject. And after talking to this gentleman, started doing research on the subject, and then this paper came across my port bow. So yeah, folks, in all sincerity, I would start having some sort of contingency plan if you can possibly pull one off in some way, shape or form. I've been working on one for many years now, so I think I should have my bases pretty well much covered. But yeah, please be very aware that these elitists do want us 10,000, 1,000,000% wiped off the face of the earth. So, other than that, hope everything's going okay for you guys. Alrighty, take care. God bless. Cheers.